Hello and welcome to SweetSpotDFS. This is a lineup construction video for the 2020 Workday Charity Open. We'll be creating lineups. We'll be game theory crafting. Well, just theory crafting really of game theory. But yeah, I'm not gonna remind you can watch this in a faster speed. I feel like you might be able to remember that, and maybe I'll just keep that for the preview videos. Let's just get right into it. Get right into the mashed potatoes. I have the bucket system up. This will probably be the last week that I will explain what the bucket system is. Not because we're going to be in different tournaments or because I'm going to abandon it, but I'm going to create a video where it's going to explain it, and I'm just going to refer you to the video. That way we can save time on these videos. We can get straight into like lineup construction, go over some other additional information that's important. Hopefully you guys saw the preview video because I talked about a lot of good stuff there. Kind of grabbing stuff from there, bringing it to this video for like golfers that we like. If you were in the preview video, you would know, or you would have known, we like golfers who fade the golf ball at this course, especially long hitters that fade the golf ball. So like Brooks, Justin Thomas, we're going to be bringing that information into this video. So hopefully you did see the preview video. Otherwise, just know that a lot of stuff will be pulled from there. So if you're a little lost, you can obviously pause the video, go back to that one, or just watch this one all the way through, go to the preview video, and you'll have a little bit of a understanding of what I'm talking about. Okay, what is the bucket system? Well, I should actually note one more thing. This is for the Memorial Tournament. All of this information here is for the Memorial Tournament. This tournament, the Workday Charity Open, is being played at the same golf course that the Memorial Tournament is being played at as well. So we're going to have 2 weeks in a row at this venue. So therefore, all of this information may be relative. It may not be. I'm going to use it as it is relative. I think it's the same track. Like they're not playing it in reverse order. They're not playing cross-country golf. If you don't know what that is, look it up. It's pretty fun. They're not doing any of that. So it's going to be the same golf course. I don't see why we don't use the same stats. And for those that think this is going to be faster or slower, it's not going to change much. You have to understand that you can't drop grass length too short too soon, and grass won't grow without proper growing conditions. So the rough isn't going to be it's not going to be that much longer, and they want to keep the same conditions for Thursday and Friday. Well, I actually don't know that for certain, so I'm not gonna make that proclamation. I would assume they're gonna try to keep the conditions the same. Sometimes obviously they will lower the height of the grass during the tournament. But I feel like for Thursday and Friday, they're going to keep the conditions the same. Try to, at least, since it's right before the cut. And then Saturday, Sunday might be different. But I'm not sure. I have never played on the PGA Tour. I'm also not an agronomist when it comes to being on the PGA Tour. I'm not positive on that. Anyways, that's way too much information. I just don't think there's going to be that much of a difference between the two tournaments. In fact, the green speed the length of the grass on the green is the same length as the Memorial Tournament last year. So I really don't know how much they can change on that. Like I said, you can't cut it too short. 0.9 inches is fairly short in comparison to the other tournaments. So take with that as you will. So going back to the bucket system here. What it is, I gather information, all the finishing positions. Well, finishing positions for these buckets. Now, what are these buckets? We have the last year bucket. This is looking at finishing positions the year before the date that's in that column. So 2019, obviously right here, these are the finishing positions within the top 5 of 2018. And then I can go down the line. This would be of 2017 and so forth. The last week bucket is just looking at last week's results and throwing them in these ranges: 1 to 20, 21 to 40, 41 to 60, 61 to 80, 80 plus. That's usually miscut and withdraw, and then a did not play, because that is it isn't a finishing position, but it's still a stat that I like to keep track of. And then with all of that, I then just do a sum function right here that will bring all of that in. Obviously we're calculating all of those numbers, and it'll get us this number over here. Based off of this number, we will rank them. Obviously, if there are ties, in all reality, what I'm doing is I'm most likely eyeballing it. I know did not plays are a little bit more favorable than first to 20s, just based off of how long I've been doing this. And those are a little bit more favorable than missed cuts. But those three are typically what you'll see more important. It's a more important stat to use. If we go down to the top 10, this is where we get we get more information here. So the numbers are either going to be very telling as to the disparity between the two, or how closely related. As you can see, the last year bucket, the numbers are very close, except for the ones in the middle. And that's no surprise. We see this every single week for every single tournament. There usually isn't a huge player pool for the golfers within this bucket. However, it's still not a good bucket to choose from. It signifies that a golfer is struggling, typically, either from last year or last week. Now, you could have a last year 6 and a last week 1, and that kind of can mitigate. It can offset each other, I should say, where it'll be a little bit more okay to play a golfer like that. But if you had like a 6, I would say don't even touch them. Don't even play. But yeah, I'll come down here and I'll also look at the numbers, and I will rate, I'll rank these based off of the numbers I see here. So obviously the did not play versus the 1 to 20, they both tie with 8. But if I come down here, the did not play gets a little bit of an edge. Now you see 9 here for 21 to 40. When I come down here, I see it's only 13, so it only gained 4 more. I'm gonna say that's not really a range that I find that valuable. So I'm not going to rank it that high on the top 5. With all of this other information, I then basically take this number, divide it into the total here, and then get this percentage over here. And that is the percentage of all the golfers that have finished inside the top 10 who fall under that bucket. And then I go and apply this number basically in my own ownership projections. Or not so much projections, but ownership, what I feel comfortable owning a golfer at. And trying to find a little bit of an advantage to the bucket system itself. Not only their own buckets, like the last year bucket, last week bucket, but I will also incorporate the bucket combination, so the two between each other. And when I show you this, a lot of you guys might roll your eyes, might be busy work, but I keep track of each bucket combination, and then I will count them down here and determine, which bucket combination is the most advantageous one. Now, in tournaments past, I would use this basically as gospel and really try to target golfers that are 2-1s. Obviously, we see 5 of the last 6 years, a 2-1 has finished inside the top 10, and we see that 8 times. So it's definitely the leading bucket combination. But what I've figured out, even if we go by bucket combinations, sometimes the salary won't afford it, and the bucket combinations do actually play out perfectly, but there's no way to roster the golfers that are within those buckets. So I've had to kind of tweak it so we're not really using the bucket combination that much, and just kind of using as a weight. Like I have used these numbers as a weighting system, basically. as I come to the 2020 DK page, and one thing you'll see that's a little different is I now am categorizing the tiers. I'm not sure how I feel about this. It's kind of clunky. It looks kind of, I don't know. Maybe I'll make it a little smaller for next time, or maybe I'll just shade in the rest. If I could put some kind of watermark on it, it would be awesome. But yeah, I'm not too worried about it. Maybe I'll just add something like a column over here and just shade it. Like I don't know. We'll see. But anyways, I will show you what I do to determine kind of like an ownership number. Actually, I'm going to hide this and just tell you what I'm using this for. So in column M over here, I have this SS percentage, and no, it's not anything to do with Nazis. It's the SweetSpot percentage, which is a calculation that I'm doing. And so what it has spit out for me is this is the ownership that I want to play these guys at. First of all, I determine what the tier level is based off of the salary. I've been playing a lot with 8,600 being my minimum for tier 1. But what ends up happening is I just don't have a lot of golfers that are, what am I trying to say? I will say I'm not, when I choose golfers I always leave one column open, and when I choose golfers, none of them ever come from here because they're always having like somewhere between 8,000 to, well, like 7,500 to 9,000. And so I'll never grab golfers from down here, and I don't really want to do that. I want to make, like, I want the opportunity to have 2 or 3 golfers that are from the 7K and below range. Just, not a lot of lineups. If out of 100, maybe like 10, I want that opportunity. And when I dig down here to 86, sometimes I'll get these 2 golfers together. Maybe I'll get 3 and then some low 7K range. So then I'll be stuck with someone that's like, I could play 7,800. And I don't really so much think about playing anyone under 71. And why is that important? Well, I've noticed that over the last few tournaments, and I haven't finished this analysis yet, but as I've gone back looking at other tournaments, the majority of the top 10 is somewhere under $7,500. Last week, I think we had 4 or 5 golfers that were 73 or 7,400 and below. That in itself, like, when we create rosters, most of us aren't thinking about leaving a lot of money on the table, which is, it's really difficult. It's a psychology thing. Like, sometimes it'd be better if we just hid this this column, and if some of you guys are doing that, that's awesome. But for the most part, when we see we have 1 golfer left and there's $8,900 remaining, are we thinking, yeah, let's put a $6,500 golfer there and leave $2,400 on the table? Probably not. Most of us are kind of looking, okay, out of these golfers, which one do I like the best? And it's like, oh, I could put Matthew Wolff there and leave, $800 on the table. So that is why I'm starting tier 1 here. This is kind of it's still kind of an exploration. It's just trying this trial and error, basically, seeing how it works out. But yeah, tier 1. So I will grab, I'll do this calculation based off the golfers in tier 1. This isn't for the whole entire field. It's just for tier 1 golfers. And you can see it's pretty close to itself, but Hideki Matsuyama shows up the least amount of times. Ricky Fowler shows up the second least. And then obviously Patrick Cantlay shows up the most. Xander, Justin Rose. That's why Patrick Cantlay and Xander on the thumbnail is because those 2 guys are popping out a little bit more. They're all 2-1s, which is great. Of course, that adds with that bucket combination that we were talking about, and that's more than likely why they are weighted more for ownership than anyone else within this range. So what is it? What I end up doing is, out of 200, or I should say 600 roster positions, because I always base everything off of 100 lineups. So in 100 lineups, we have 600 roster positions. Yes, can't really tell here. I'll explain what that is later. If I were to go to the lineup construction page, so obviously there's 6 positions in a lineup. Well, if you were to scroll down to lineup 100, you're going to get a count of 600. You guys can't see it, but it's down here in the right-hand corner. So 600 positions. Out of 600 positions, what I will do is come back here, and I will show you what this looks like. I can find my calculator. I thought I had it up. So what we'll do is grab, let's go like last year 1, so 26.15. Actually, let's do last year 2 because that's going to be like Patrick Cantlay. So last year 2, 23.08%. So it's really just 600 times 23.0. Oh, no. 23.08. I'm going to get 138.48. I'm not positive what that number was for Patrick. So we're looking for, okay, 138.48. There you go. If we were to look at the last week score, which obviously is a last year 1, or last week 1, that's down here. So it's 40%. Obviously, you can imagine that number is going to be pretty high, so 0.4026. And again, that's just a percentage. I did 200, not 300. Well, we can times that by 3, right? So 241.56. And we will see that that is on, it's basically 241, 242. Those numbers together give me this average score right here. Now, I would then take that average score. I know, super busy work. I get it. And I would basically calculate it into itself. Here, hold on. This is a total of 1712. So Patrick Cantlay is 190. 190 divided by 1712, I believe, right? They'll give me this 11%, but what I'm going to do with this is times it by 200 because I am allocating in my lineups, tier 1 will have 200 positions. I will keep 200 positions for tier 1. Or I should say I will hold 200. So these first 2 columns, you know, leading down 100 lineups, these 2 columns are dedicated to tier 1 golfers. So therefore 200, that's where I get the 200 number. And obviously this times 200, you can already see it's basically times 2. I'm gonna get 22. And when we look at the spreadsheet in column O where it has I just means interest, there are 22. I have him in 22 lineups. But I also added a calculation that incorporates the bucket combination. So this 86.67%. Long story short, I made it into a number and I did that same exact thing where I took this number, divided it into the total, and then added it to this and divided by 2, or added it to this number and divided by 2. Essentially, how I found this number out, I also did it here. It gave me 4 additional lineups. I think that's awesome. I think it's great because I'm not looking for anything drastic. I'm not looking for something that gives me 50 of Patrick Cantlay and then 0 of Hideki Matsuyama. So therefore, it to me it's awesome because I do like Patrick Cantlay anyways. But like the finishing positions, you know, last week, you might be wondering, why do I do it that way? Well, because I'm a player myself. I know last year's result matters, and I know last week's result matters. If I'm not playing, obviously I'm practicing, but I'm holding on to last year's result. So it is something, and these pros aren't any different than us, other than they're elite golfers. But that same psychology still applies to them, and therefore that's why I use the bucket system. Now that I've explained that, I'm going to go ahead and hide this stuff because it's really not super relevant. You guys know where the number comes from, and that is why this is my ownership. This is my SweetSpot percentage. And then with this, I do that obviously for tier 2. I do it for tier 3 as well. Surprisingly, it got me on 0. The SweetSpot percentage got me on 0 lineups of Sung J M. That's dangerous. I mean, like, I don't think it's that smart to not play Sung J. More than likely, I will be adding him when it comes to the portion I add lineups together. But yeah, I'll do that here. Obviously, tier 2 isn't going to have a lot of golfers because the pool is slightly bigger for 200 lineups, because I'm also going to allocate tier 2 to 200 positions, I should say. Out of 100 lineups, just like I showed you with tier 1 golfers. This is going to be tier 1 golfers. This will be tier 2 golfers. I'll put tier 1 golfers here and leave this column open to basically just manually enter names. So therefore, I'm still in control of creating lineups, but still, you know, leaving it to randomization. So yeah, so tier 2 isn't going to have as big numbers as tier 1. Tier 3 is the same way. It's not going to have that big of numbers either. Now, what I did with tier 3, though, is I did it by 200 lineups. Typically, when I do this calculation, I do it by 100. I shouldn't say lineups, positions. I'll do it by 100 positions, but I kind of want to have a little bit more randomization. I want to include, you know, like Mackenzie Hughes 4 times. And then basically randomize, you know, use the randomize range function within Google Sheets and randomize that whole range and then cut off 100 golfers and then just be stuck with whatever I have. So I might have 4 lineups of Mackenzie Hughes. I might have 0. Depends on how the randomizer works for me. Same thing with like Sepp Straka. But obviously you can see like any of these last year 5 golfers are getting 0. Michael Thompson's getting 0. So it is interesting to see the SweetSpot percentage, you know, like go down or like fluctuate. Obviously we see zeros within this column, but we don't within this column, within the, you know, just regular bucket system column. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I feel like I want at least one of each golfer here, but at the same time I don't. So I'm excited to see where this is going to end up. Okay. You already saw what I do. Here is, so if I were to look at Justin Thomas, the SweetSpot percentage tells me to play him in 20 lineups. So I will, in column 1, click and drag down 20 times. You guys can look over at the rows here, 2 to 21. That's going to be 20. I do that with every golfer as it shows me how many times I should play them. And I will click and drag down 200 times, you know, basically. We can see here that tier 3 actually goes a little bit further. And that's just that's because of the calculation that's involved. Like it uses decimal places. So it has a couple more that rounded up than down. Much like here, we don't have 200 because this would be 200. So we only have 198 for both of these. So that's kind of interesting. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to do it right here. We are going to grab from column D, which is actually the first column. I'm going to select. So obviously I selected that last cell down here, hit Control, and then, or I hit Shift, I should say, and clicked on D2. So that has everybody in that range. Google Sheets has a fun option where you just hit Randomize Range. And therefore it just jumbles everyone in that range you know, it's just a random thing. Now, if you were to put golfers next to each other, all it does is within that column, it just randomizes in that column. It doesn't randomize between the two. So like if I were to grab just these guys within here, you're never going to see Max Homa come over here. So if I randomize this range, you can see it just sticks. These golfers here stay in their own bubble. These guys stay in their own bubble. So it's really not that advantageous, I don't think, where you just randomize all of them. I kind of, for whatever reason, I kind of want to just look at the golfers that will be peering up. I'm not like I'm this is gonna sound stupid. It's what you see a lot on the dating apps is like, I'm not superstitious, I'm just a little stitious. Yeah, I know it's dumb, but I just want to see, like, I just want to basically click until I feel good, you know, like that makes me feel good. And then I'll do the same thing here. Sometimes it just, you know, I'll find a number in my head that I want to, you know, click to, or maybe it's just by the way the colors look. Like this, I don't like seeing that much red. It's not going to matter, but I like that. So that's going to randomize that. Now for tier 3, remember, this could just be anything crazy. It might cut people off completely. It might add more people. Oh, it's not going to add more people, but basically what I'm trying to do right now is not see Donnie Trosper's name. Just don't want to see it. Okay, I see Carlos Ortiz. I like that. Sure, we'll keep this just like this. We'll keep it right there. Okay, so the last thing that I forgot to do, or that I just failed to do, is I'm gonna get to row 101 and basically select golfers underneath 101. Shift, click, left click, and then Control X is cutting. I'm gonna cut and put those guys up here. I'm going to do the same thing when it comes to this one. So I'm going to get to row 101. We'll go underneath that, select all those golfers that are underneath. Control C or Control X, and then Control V. So that will cut those guys as well. And then really what I'm going to do is from here down, get rid of them. They are deleted. And this is going to be how I'm going to randomize my golfers. Now, let's see. Okay, I just want to make sure that those columns are like that. So what we're going to do from here, copy and paste, go to the lineup construction sheet and paste them in. I have kind of a neat little function over here to show me where my duplicates are. So obviously I'm going to go around and change these. Can't really change those, but I can change this one. I know I can't change that because I can see how much I have left in salary. So I'm just going to go through these and make sure that I don't have any duplicates. There we go. We got rid of that one. Where do we have one here? Xander. Change that. Come on. There we go. So yeah, I think this is a neat way to create lineups. I've had a lot of fun doing this over the last 3 weeks. 1 week was very fruitful. Another week was not. And I think that's just how it's going to be. A lot of it I do think is going to be ownership based off of what we're seeing when it comes to who we want to play, basically. I know that was a very vague thing I said, but what I'm getting at is I want to play golfers. I'm choosing how much. I'm not really choosing. I'm just looking at what that sweet spot percentage is. I'm either agreeing with it or disagreeing with it, and then going from there. I also have 2 functions up here. I can see my minimum salary remaining and my maximum. Obviously 5,200 is not a good one to have. We'll find that as we go through. I'm not too concerned right now about it. I'm seeing way too many Donnie Trospers. What I'm going to do is get rid of Donnie Trosper. I don't mind playing one or two. Same with Mathis Defoe. I'm just not. No, thank you. I do not want to play that much. This really isn't leaving us much that we can play around with. So go ahead, minimize. It's a little better. There you go. It looks good. And of course, this is obviously a little tedious. Maybe some of you guys aren't liking that, but in all reality, I do enjoy this quite a bit. Sometimes this randomized doesn't do it because obviously it's taking two options. It's flipping a coin and seeing if it needs to change it. Yeah. I can also look at the golfers that are going to be added and be like, oh, you know what? I would rather have a Brooks, Justin Thomas, Cameron Champ, Benny Ann, Denny McCarthy lineup instead of like flipping these down and going Ricky Brooks and so forth. So that's kind of also what I'm doing is eyeballing it and just making sure I have the right golfers that I want to choose or that I'm going with. Something like this, I don't think it's that big of a deal, but we'll see what the price tag ends up being here. All right, so it changed in the opposite direction of what I was hoping it would do. Yeah, we can see who might be a little bit more expensive and who's not. So 7,500. Obviously, if I change these two, this number's going to come down. This number will go up. That's fine. We can do that. There you go. So now it's kind of more of an even ballpark. Now we could go the other way, kind of like what I was talking about before, how I'm not finding a lot of 7K guys to choose from. And I mean, like you can see, I'm also not seeing a lot of 7K guys still to this point, which is, I don't know, not something I enjoy seeing. So I kind of want to find this 5,200. I do see a 6,100. That might be a little too small. Patrick Reed, Mark Leach. It's a good lineup. I mean, that will be a fun one to choose to go with. I'm just going to keep it. So obviously we can see here 57. It's not going to work out. Can really change anybody. Is it Matt Kuchar that we change? Probably. There we go. Yeah, that was a big shift. So there we go. A little bit more, a couple more 7K guys. That's awesome. And I'm eyeballing this over to the left, trying to find my 5K. Now I can also put a condition in here that will just flash out at me like, hey, this is under 6K. You need to change this. And maybe I'll just do that instead of wasting your guys' time. Okay, here's my $5,200 lineup. I think what we need to do is just copy, paste, copy, paste, paste. And that way we can save some time. This actually didn't really help out. So there is somebody here a little too expensive. Who is it? It's Matt Kuchar. Should I change that out with, where's like a high price? 8,800 down here. Maybe put a Billy Horschel up there. There we go. I accidentally picked the wrong lineup. Like I should have picked something here. Jordan Spieth obviously is the too expensive golfer in this range. John Rahm obviously is a little too expensive as well. Let's switch that out with a Ricky Fowler. There we go. Now we're kind of get down to that 6K. Now my lowest lineup is 6,100. So that's awesome. And I'm basically going to go through all of these and kind of choose the golfers that I like. I can also on the spreadsheet see how much I own a particular golfer. So obviously you can see the numbers I've already chosen. If I go down to the 7K range, so if I were to put a filter on all of this and just use a condition here less than or equal to 7,000, I can find my ownership for some of these golfers. So actually what I'm going to do is take out the blanks. This is the top 20 stats that we talked about in the preview. And I'm gonna find some golfers that are at 0 ownership and just see who they are here at the top. And then determine, do I want to play those guys? So Mac Hughes, obviously I had told you we could either have 4, we could even have 0. It shows up we have 0. Kyle Stanley 0, Siwoo Kim 0, SweetSpot tells me 0. Michael Thompson says, or SweetSpot says 0. Sam Burns 1, that I should play him in. So I'm definitely going to be using this. And actually, I could put a filter on this as well. And it would just be all of it combined, which I should have already done. How about we just do that right now? We want BJ. Go. Let's go ahead, clear everyone out with the 0s. That way I just know who they are, and then we can also filter by the stats. So Sam Burns is top 20 in 3 stats. I think we want to be playing Sam Burns in a few lineups. Now, as I filtered out, I filtered out through a bunch of lineups. What I'm going to end up doing is just doing this. We're going to copy all of these golfers, and I'm just going to toss them up here. Actually, I can take the filters off and select all, because that copy is still going to stay in the mouse, basically. And I'm gonna paste all those guys right here. No, I'm not. There's still another filter on there. Where's the filter? Salary. Okay, let's get rid of the salary. And again, it's still stuck in the mouse, or on the clipboard, I should say. So I can put those golfers there. I know this is 6,900 and below, so really I could go by. I am seeing some Justin Rose. Why are these golfers here? Weird. I'm not sure why I don't like that. I don't know what that came from. What the heck? All right, let's try this again. Filter by condition. Less than or equal to. You guys probably already saw it. I mean, when I watch this video back, a lot of the times I'm like, well, what the heck? What just happened there? We can go ahead and clear all and just add 0. And we already have it filtered. Perfect. So I don't see any of those other golfers here. So we'll go ahead, copy. I think this should work out. How about this? I'm gonna go down here to 100, or I should say, man, look at how many. All right, so, oh, how annoying. If I put it at 130, does it go through all of them? It's gonna be very fragmented. Okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and copy once again. We'll see how this works. Donnie Trosper, really 0. So the ones that I deleted and got rid of, those were the only ones he was in. Okay, makes sense. Select all. Get rid of the conditions. If it just happens to add all the golfers that I tried to get rid of, it did. What the heck? So 128. So obviously it's grabbing the wrong golfers. It's fine. What I can do here though is do this. Go to a different spreadsheet like this one and just paste them there. There. They're all there. Obviously it was something to do when I I undid the filters. Okay. So, I mean, I don't mean to bring you along this ride just for me showing you like how I'm going to create my lineups. I do want there to be some kind of who is my favorite play of the week. So I will definitely do that. But I did want to show you kind of how cool this lineup construction can be. Okay, so who is my favorite play? Well, when I look at the stats here and we have it sorted by top 20 stats, you would have to be here in the preview video to know what this is. Obviously, it might not, it doesn't take a lot of common sense to kind of know what it is. It is how many times this golfer has finished inside the top 20 of stats leading into this tournament. And those stats that I do, again, you'd have to go to the preview video, course history, recent form, overall POA, and then all the shots gained metrics. So that's all here, plus green and reg, plus proximity, plus birdie or better. Hideki Matsuyama finishes in the top 20 9 times out of those stats. And that's in this field. That's not like on the PGA Tour. That's just in this field. So he's top 20 of those stats in this field. Justin Thomas is right behind him. Patrick Cantlay is tied with JT. Obviously, all your high-priced guys are up here. Of Tier 1 golfers, my top 3 plays that I like the most. Surprising there's a blank. Of my top 3, or Tier 1, let me go back to the other spreadsheet. Okay, so Tier 1, since I have it up. Patrick Cantlay, Brooks Koepka, and Xander Schauffele. Those are my 3 favorite plays. I do also really like Rahm, JT, and that's actually that'd be it. I mean, it would be these 5, but if I was to, target more, it's gonna be these 3. I really like Xander this week. I think he's going under the radar. He does hit a fade golf shot. I think this is setting up perfect for him. If the greens are going to be slow, I think that also favors him. And same with Brooks Koepka. I think these 2 guys, putting on difficult surfaces, as we probably think this is going to be, you just got to make sure these guys are hitting the ball straight. But I really like that. I do like JT, don't get me wrong. A lot of people are on him, but like watching him I don't remember what his last tournament was. Was it Travelers? Yeah, he was at the Travelers, so obviously he missed the cut. But he was not in control of his shots, his shot shape whatsoever. I don't know what was going on, but it wasn't good. And I have no confidence in that. So this could be a week where he bounces back. I don't like it. I'm just going to stick with these 3 golfers here. Tier 2. I won't lie, I really haven't looked much into Tier 2. But if I were to pick golfers from Tier 2 that I really like, Cam Champ would be 1. Benny Ann, believe it or not, is going to be 2. And that's not just lip service because he's awesome on Twitter, but I do like him in this spot, especially being a 2-1. Really liking the odds there. I guess I can't really fault anyone going Mark Leishman or Jordan Spieth. I'm going to go with Maverick McNeely. So none of these guys are high-priced guys up here. I think there might be someone up here that finishes top 10, maybe 2. But I think these 3 I like the most. in all reality, I could probably substitute Benny Ann for Mark Leishman. And it would be those three guys. And that's probably what I'm going to stick with. But don't get me wrong, I really like Scotty Scheffler. I like Benny Ann. I do like Adam Hadwin. I'm going to pump the brakes a little bit on Gary Woodland. I'm not going to bite the chalk that comes with course history in Matt Kuchar. I'll play some Patrick Reed. I didn't like what I saw at RBC Heritage, but I'm not going to be super discouraged by that. I'm not a huge proponent of Brad Snedeker this week. A lot of people are on Shane Lowry just because of like the Firestone comp and the fact that he's played well at this tournament before. I'm not sold on it. It's not going to be that. It's just not going to be a huge play in my opinion. I do like Russell Henley. I've heard a lot of things people are talking about him. I really like Patrick Rogers at this tournament. Hits the ball pretty far, putts really well. You do have a lot of good options in tier 2, but I'm just going to still stick to Maverick McNeely, Cameron Champ, and Mark Leishman. In tier 3, I mean, if you didn't notice, I really wasn't looking at the last one, but for tier 3, I guess I don't have a huge play that I like more than another. I think what I want to do is go young. It's weird seeing Lucas Bjerregaard down here. 139 ranked golfer in the world. I think this is a course that actually suits him really well. I'm probably going to go that route. I'm kind of looking at stats over here. Xinjun Zhang, probably not a bad play at 6K. I won't lie. I know it's weird to say not a bad play at 6K, but I really don't think he is. I wonder if it's time to jump on Jamie Lovemark soon. Okay, Carlos Ortiz. He is a golfer that I do like. I wouldn't say so much at this course, but he has a ton of potential. I think it's a good play. And these three golfers here, I don't know if you can go wrong with any of them. I actually really like these three as well. How do I choose? No, I'm kidding. I think what it'll come down to is POA splits. And really no one is popping up. We have a winner. 46.49. That's JB Holmes. Okay. So, I mean, I kind of already knew that. I knew JB was a pretty good POA player. So, I might go with JB then. So, who did we have? We had JB, Carlos Ortiz, wherever he is. Who was our last guy? Lucas Bjerregaard. So, I think those are my three plays from down below. I do like Mackenzie Hughes. Mac Hughes will definitely be in my lineups, regardless of how the randomizer chose to kick him out. But yeah, that's about it, guys. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna leave it at that. I know this video is running pretty long, but those are my favorite plays there. I would say this: I'm also looking at golfers who are starting on hole 10, especially in the morning. So that definitely gives way to like a Brooks, a Xander. Obviously, Cantlay's not starting there, but I think that actually plays well for him since he is more of a grinder type of golfer. But yeah, all of these top guys here starting on the back nine in the morning definitely is going to favor them. This is very favorable for them. So I think I'll probably also look at the same thing for like tier 2 golfers. And tier 3. Interesting. You got Jason Day there. Maverick McNeely, one of the first ones out. I think that's a really good showdown play. Also, I'm going to be pairing these guys up as well. So anyone that's playing together, so what do we have? Game 14. So Justin Rose, Xander Schauffele. That's not a bad pairing to have. 745, Brooks and JT, very good as well. Cantlay will be playing with Spieth. I like that pairing. I don't really like Spieth, but I like it for Cantlay. Yeah, I will be pairing a lot of these golfers up. Okay. Well, this wasn't the absolute strategy that I wanted to deploy when creating this video, but I think that was good enough. I don't think there is much to talk about other than that, and I'm not gonna hold you guys any longer. So thank you for watching. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I hope you guys do well this week. All right, bye.